waited in line just to share this experience of Venom, Candyman, Night of the Living Dead, The Rock, Final Destination. But I want you to know you are now entering the
Cinema
Chop Shop. With a top and the pop pop pop. Boom boom bop 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 bop.
The Cinema Chop Shop.
What's going on, everybody? It's Davey from the 80s, and you are now entering the Cinema Chop Shop, so park your ass right there. And while you're there, don't forget to hit the like, the share, the subscribe button. Also, if you check the link below, you'll see a Patreon account. If you click it, you can become a member. All you got to do is try to recommend movies and music and trailers for me to react to, so click that damn link. Now, I felt like doing this video today. I thought it was going to be real cool, so we're going to do the top 5 black horror villains, right? So I know people are sitting there thinking to yourself like, damn, I can only think about 2. I can only think about 3. I'm about to give you 10 of them mofos plus 2 honorable mentions. So if you have not seen any of these movies, I highly recommend watching them. I might give a brief kind of like spoilerish thing in order to talk about them. So I'll try to keep it as light as possible, but let's go ahead and get into it with our honorable mentions. So number 1, our first honorable mention is we're going to talk about Connor and Jen Rikers, the Druid Killers from season 3 of Slasher. Now, if you haven't seen Slasher season 3, it's called Solstice. It's about these people that live in an apartment building, and there's like a killing of a tenant, and then all of a sudden, a year later, the anniversary of it, the killer, the druid, the man who killed the person originally, he pops back up and he commences the killing. Now, honestly, I thought the design for that killer is pretty dope. I have his mask up there. You can't see it. It's out of frame, but it's an all black mask and it has like this blue light on it. He wears a hood. He has some really cool weapons. Also, season 3 has some really dope kills. But I mean, the writing of the show is kind of like meh. But I mean, honestly, the Druid Killer is freaking awesome. The kills are fantastic. Grade A. Honestly, he should probably be on the top 10, but it's okay. And then another honorable mention, I'm going to talk about the Apeth in His House, a 2020 film. Now, this film is about some refugees that leave Africa and they end up living, I want to say in England. They live in England, but they're living in this house, and all of a sudden they feel like the house is freaking haunted. Like, something wrong with this damn house. Apparently, they brought some spooky back from them with them when they ran from the country, because they were like running away from like this torn country, like some part of Africa. Long story short, the Apeth eventually reveals itself at the end of the movie, and I felt like he looked crazy as hell. There's also this person in the I don't know if it's the Apeth or not, but it's somebody with a mask. It's like running around this damn movie, like that's always in this movie. It's somebody with a freaky looking mask. You'll see it in the quick little snippets. But anyway, I gotta give it to that movie. That movie has some cool ideas. It's not the greatest freaking movie, but I thought the characters were pretty dope. So on this list, you're gonna see some movies that I'm not really like too big on, but at the same time, I gotta admit that the characters are pretty freaking cool. So coming in at number 10, if you guys have seen this damn movie, it was a childhood classic in my opinion. This was honestly one of the most scariest stories in this damn movie. We talking about the 1995 movie Tales from the Hood, but we gonna talk about one particular story in this one. We gotta talk about Martin Morehouse. Now, if you guys don't know about the Martin Morehouse story, he's a man that's running for like governor or something, some sort of body of government, some sort of public like some sort of community representation. And what ends up happening is the police officers turn against him. They pull him over, they beat him to death, and then they throw the man in the ocean. The dude ends up rising back from the dead and start wreaking havoc. There was even one scene, I believe, he ripped somebody's dick off. But the point of the matter is, Martin Morehouse's zombified, ghostly version scared the crap out of me when I was a kid. Like, I mean, literally, I was terrified of that one, and I was terrified of the one with the little black marionettes running around. That shit freaked me out too. But I didn't want to make this whole movie like this whole top 10 list. I didn't want to do a bunch of Tales from the Hood characters, so it's only going to be like two. But definitely Martin Morehouse's character freaked me out at the end of the movie, and the fact that he turned old boy into a mural, put him on a wall, man, freaky at his finest. But yeah, that Martin Morehouse definitely deserves that number 10 spot. Coming in at number 9. If you guys have seen Lovecraft Country from 2020, we talking about Topsy and Bopsy.
Eyes so bright they shine at night when the moon I'm gone away. She used to call these stars.
Now, Topsy and Bopsy are these two twin girls, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, they come like this girl was reading this book, and in the book, the characters ended up coming alive. And it's just these two girls. They look like they're from like Uncle Tom's Cabin or something like, and they just be dancing and following her around all over the place. Now they technically don't kill nobody, but I really dig their designs. The two girls that play Topsy and Bopsy are freaking fantastic. I would honestly love just to watch a show dealing with them two, just dancing around and shit and just getting people killed or something. I don't know, but I really just dig the characters and the fact that they run around and they dance and they just really got some really cool choreography. They have this really cool iconic look to them, and I honestly hats off to them. It's a really cool character because I didn't really like the show, right? I really thought it was going to be a lot more horror, and I thought it was going to be a lot better. It was okay, but I don't know. I didn't see the hype about it. I know that show got a whole lot of love. I wasn't really too much a fan of it, but Topsy and Bopsy, y'all cool in my book. So those are the ones coming in at number 9. Coming at number 8, we have Red from Us, aka The Tethered, right? Now, me personally, I wasn't a fan of this movie, but I gotta admit that Lupita Nyong'o's character was interesting as hell. And Red being the antagonist in the movie, it was also pretty cool. You have that final fight scene between her and Lupita's character, and they kind of go back and forth. That was probably one of the most iconic scenes in that movie. But the fact that Red freaking got all of these people, got them together, and ended up like leading a revolution against the other people that they were tethered to, the people from above. I thought that was really cool. Like it's a pretty cool concept. When she wore the mask, she only wore it briefly, but I mean, you got to admit, it looks pretty cool. Running around with gold scissors and some brown gloves, like you about to beat somebody's ass, and you got the big gold scissors. I got like, come on, it looks pretty damn cool. And then I wish the little boy who wore that crazy little mask, and he looked pretty cool too. But look, again, The Tethered. I'm not a fan of Us. Didn't like the movie. Didn't thought it was super predictable. But at the same time, we got to give it to that 2019 movie. It was pretty. I mean, the character's pretty damn cool. So again, another character that I like, but I wasn't a fan of the movie. All right, coming in at number 7, we got Jimmy Bones. If you guys have not seen 2001 Bones starring Snoop Dogg and Pam Grier, you missing out, homie.
Dog eat dog, brother. Dog eat dog.
I mean, it's not the greatest freaking movie, but at the same time, you got Snoop Dogg, freaking pimp, who gets killed and comes back from the dead in order to clean up his neighborhood. Now, I know I said horror villains, but y'all like, man, that sounds like an anti-hero to me. Whatever, it don't even matter. He's the man in the movie that's killing everybody, and there's a couple people in this movie that get killed, and they kind of just, I don't know, like he just kills them because they there. But I always thought that this movie was a fun idea. Like, it was real cool to see Snoop Dogg in a horror movie. Like, and he got a little pressed hair, and he comes out with a little switchblade or whatever. He comes stepping in and whatever. Snoop Dogg is really smooth and cool in this movie. And I mean, I never thought in my life that I would see a Snoop Dogg horror movie, but I think he made another like an anthology series or something. But Jimmy Bones is a freaking interesting character, and I had to put him pretty high on my list because this was probably one of the first freaking black horror movies that I've seen or the ones this is next to freaking. Sorry, I don't want to say that because I'm lying, because that would be Tales from the Hood is the first black horror movie I've seen. But that was probably one of the most, that's like the second horror movie that I could think of. When I think of black horror movies, like that's the second movie that comes to me. Oh, Bones, freaking Snoop Dogg. Like, yeah. So Jimmy Bones is a freaking iconic character. How many of you guys seen the movie? I mean, it's not the greatest movie, but at the same time, he's pretty damn cool. Snoop Dogg running around as a ghost, pimp slapping the shit out of people, man. You can't get no better than that. Coming in at number 6, we got Prince Mahmoud Walde uh, from Blackula. From 1972. Now, I haven't seen this movie in a long ass time. Long ass time. So I honestly don't really remember it that much. All I remember is that a man gets turned into a vampire from Dracula and he ends up being put in a casket or something and popping up in LA and he's chasing some chick around LA. That's the most that I remember from it. But at the same time, you cannot deny the fact that when you think about black horror movies, the first thing somebody or anybody thinks of is freaking Blackula, right? I mean, now it might change a little bit because you have Jordan Peele movies, but originally, Blackula was probably like the go-to black horror movie. This is in the peak of the freaking blaxploitation era, and there's not too many black horror movies in that era, like at least well-known ones. You got to really, really dig around in order to find like black horror movies, which is another movie on this list. But definitely Blackula is up there. He's one of the like most well-known ones. If I told you to name like a black horror movie, like at least 5 of them, Blackula is probably going to come up in most people's lists. So yeah, honestly, dope character, pretty cool. It was like it was a dope thing to see. Like, you know, like, oh, I know because there's like Vampire in Brooklyn with like Eddie Murphy, but I never saw that movie. And I never was really interested in that movie because I'm not like a huge Eddie Murphy fan. So I'm gonna give it to the OG Blackula, you know, the Count, but the Prince. The cool thing about it is also that they're planning on remaking that movie, I heard. So keep an eye out for that. I think that's a really cool idea. Coming in at number 5, another African American character. We got Akasha from Queen of the Dam.
They believed in nothing. Now they are nothing.
Now, RIP to Aaliyah. Freaking fantastic job in that movie. She was phenomenal. I mean, when she came into the scene or whatever, she coming in like all seducing and shit, and she burned all them vampires. Like, I mean, come on. She was OP as shit in that movie. And it was really cool because I believe that was her her first film debut. And it would have been a lot more if she didn't tragically pass away. But I feel like she did a fantastic job as a head vampire. And I believe that movie, if I'm not mistaken, is like a sequel to Interview with a Vampire or something, or it's like tied into it or something. I remember Derek from Movie Match told me about that, and I didn't even know it. But Akasha's character is super iconic, and it sucks that we don't really get figures of her or merchandise from her because she truly is an iconic character. And Aaliyah played that role to a freaking T. It was really cool to see her, and she was an almighty vampire with a plan of world domination. So, I mean, she was truly villainous when you break it down. But shout outs to her coming in at number 5. Number 4, can't forget this, man. We got Mr. Sims.
Ain't no funeral home. It ain't the Terradome neither. Welcome to hell.
Where's the shit? Yeah, welcome to hell. That was like one of the most freaking iconic scenes. My man turns into a lizardy devil at the end of the movie, freaking tongue going through the gap in his mouth. I mean, come on, dude. We got Mr. Sims, the freaking mortuary keeper that tells all the damn stories and tells from the hood. You cannot get more iconic than that. Dude was freaky, creepy, all of that good stuff. My man looked like Don King if he ran a mortuary home. But I rest assured that the man did his job. I just thought that his character was super iconic, and we always had in the sequels. I know that we had different hosts. Old boy that played Gargoyles, I think, was in part 2. And I want to say, I forgot who was in part 3. I want to say Tony Todd, but I might be wrong. But anyway, nobody was ever to touch Mr. Sims, man. Nobody was ever to touch that man. He was iconic when it came to telling these stories and being the host of this anthology. He was truly iconic. And like I said, I didn't want to make this whole thing about breaking down all the different characters in freaking Tales from the Hood, but Mr. Sims is I had to mention him. If I mentioned Martin Morehouse, cool, but Mr. Sims deserved a spot on this damn list because he truly is iconic when it comes to this black horror movie shit. You know what I'm saying? So carrying on, moving in at number 3, we have the Tap Dance Man and Them, the 2021 series.
What you gonna do? 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 What you gonna do?
Now, people are probably like, who the hell is the Tap Dance Man? Right. And when you watch this show, I mean, the show is really disturbing. It's about this family that comes to LA. They move to LA and they're facing all this racism or whatever. The husband's dealing with the racism at work, the wife's dealing with the racism at home, the kids are dealing with the racism at school. So it's really about them just dealing with it. And they're also running from some terrible trauma that happened to them in the South. And like, it's just, this show was so well done. I mean, there's some episodes that are kind of like lacking, but overall, I feel like they did a really good job. But anyway, let's get back to the Tap Dance Man. So the Tap Dance Man is this entity or this phantom or whatever that continuously appears to Mr. Henry all throughout the show, right? And he is literally the epitome of like the Southern slave. Like, he talks like that, and he just kind of gives off that dialect and that vernacular, you know what I'm saying? But he's so freaking compelling, dude. Every scene that he was in, he just demanded my attention, right? When they gonna leave you alone? When they gonna leave us alone, Mr. Henry? You know, a beast of the wild. Like, it's just crazy. I'm mighty parched. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just, the stuff that he says in the show, and the actor that they got to play with him is truly freaking iconic. Like, you just gotta watch this show. And if you watch this show for anybody, watch it for the Tap Dance Man, because he compels you on every damn scene that he's on. He does a really good job at like giving off that, what's the word I want to say, like the minstrel show-esque comedy blackface type thing. And the dude's creepy as shit. So I think, me personally, I think the dude's iconic, and that's all I want to say about that. If you got to watch them, he does a really fantastic job every scene that he's in, and I just can't. He's compelling every time the dude's on stage. Every time he's in front of the camera, super compelling. Mannerism, facial features, just the things that he does. Like, he really embodies his character. I can't stress that enough. Going in at number 2, we got Dr. Hess Green from Ganja and Hess from 1973.
I will persist and survive without God's or society's sanction. I will not be tortured. I will not be punished. I will not be guilty.
Now, if you guys don't know about this movie, this is a black vampire movie, right? So we have Dr. Hess, who his assistant wants to kill himself. He eventually kills himself, but before he does, he stabs the doctor with a freaking old dagger. Apparently, this dagger ends up transforming the doctor into a vampire. Then the doctor's just dealing with transforming into a vampire and all of that good stuff, and ends up having like a love interest with somebody. But that's neither here nor there. The movie itself is a fantastic, low-key gem. Like, it's nothing, like, it's really a freaking gem. It's kind of cinematic in moments. Dude, Dr. Hess's character, he's like, just, you really feel like he's just understanding and coping with the circumstances that he has. And at the end of the movie, you have like this really iconic scene in the church or whatever. I don't want to give too much about it, but you can really feel his trials and tribulations about going through the process of becoming a vampire and feeding on people and yearning for that blood and everything like that. You see the humanistic side and you see the animalistic side. And I feel like this is a movie that's not really known by a lot of people. I believe it's called Blood Simple in some areas, but the original title is Ganja and Hess. And I feel like it's a really, really dope movie. He's sort of villainous in a way, but you know, at the end of the day, he's just really just coping with the circumstances that were given to him. So shout out to Dr. Hess. But you coming in at number 1, you already know who it is. You say his name 5 times, bitch, and he coming to see you about it. We talking about Daniel Robitaille, you know, the Candyman from 1992. Played by none other than Tony freaking Todd. This had to be top 5, one of the scariest goddamn movies I ever seen in my life, man. I remember this freaked me out. I was afraid to go in the bathroom and look in the mirror because I thought this man was going to come out and hook your damn ass. But if you guys don't know about the story about Candyman, you have a man who was a painter who fell in love with this white woman, and he ended up getting her pregnant. Her dad found out and banded together with a mob and just mutilated him. And this ended up turning him into like a vengeful spirit that who eventually haunted the Cabrini Green area where they built some projects on. So since they built the projects on, he just kind of was like a product of his environment, and he just kind of haunted the people that were kind of residing within the area that he so happened to die on. But I rest my case. But anyway, so his character is iconic, dude. Every scene, his booming voice when he comes on, how compelling he is, how hypnotic, how hypnotic and methodic and melodic he is, dude. Every Helen, be my victim. You know what I'm saying? Like the dude just every scene that he's in, he freaking compels us. Like I can't talk about it more than any. Like you just got to see the shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't explain it. It's hard to put into words, but he's just super freaking compelling. Tony Todd's character in the Candyman series, because my man is stretched over what, 4 films. It's truly iconic. When you hear the name Candyman, it's synonymous with Tony Todd. It's no other man can play Candyman like Tony Todd did. Old boy that was Black Mantra or whatever, the Black Mantra or whatever from Aquaman. He tried to be Candyman, fell short. We have what's his Sherman, forgot his first name, but his last name is Sherman. Cool reiteration of Candyman, their own different version of him. But you know what I'm saying? Like it just didn't, it fell flat. Tony Todd's Candyman is what it is. He is the epitome of Candyman. You get what I'm saying? And the first movie is a freaking classic. I've met Tony Todd, as you guys have seen him. You've seen him in the freaking intro. He's a fantastic dude. He's fun. He's level-headed. He's down to earth. He's a really cool, calm individual. Like I could probably sit down and chill and talk with him all day. You know what I'm saying? But that's enough of that. But just the character of Candyman is iconic. Symbolizes the Black struggle. Altogether, one of the first iconic Black horror characters out there, one of the first iconic Black household horror characters out there. When you think of Black horror movies, and if I told you to name a Black horror character, that's the first character that's going to pop into your head. So that's why he's number 1 on this damn list. So that's my top 10 Black horror characters or Black horror villains out. Let me know if I forgot anybody. I know you have the African-American girl from Exorcist. The new one, Exorcist Believer. We also have like I said, Sherman we have Candyman. I can't really think of any more off the top of my head, but I know there's more out there. If I forgot one, oh yeah, you got Blackenstein. So I mean, there's a couple out there that I probably forgot about, but at the same time, if I did, my apologies, but go ahead and throw them in the comment section down below. Let me know your top 5, top 3, top 10 if you could get to the 10. But you know, I thought that this list was very fun. I thought these are some characters that you probably didn't know much about, and it's cool that you probably got a chance to be introduced to them through me. So I'm glad to be kind of like that conduit to you guys. But let me know in the comment section down below. You are now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop. Hope you guys are a magnificent day, and adios, homies. Don't forget to subscribe on the way out.
I want to play a game. Subscribe now. The choice is yours. You're now exiting the Cinema Chop Shop.